Okay, so now we have a fan question, and this is from Dave from Sudbury. You played with Al Arbour, that was in Rochester.
You loved it in Sudbury, you and Mom. Do you remember?
Oh, I remember Sudbury. I remember snow, and I remember getting the big igloos, and we'd have caves under the snow plows, piles and everything. I love Sudbury.
Remember and we went out and we hung up four pieces of bread on string. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was so cold, the birds never. And I remember you used to watch Bill and Ben, Flower Pot Men.
That's right.
And
well, the other one, the Friendly Giant.
Friendly Giant, yeah, remember the Friendly Giant? And I used to sit and watch those after practice all the time in a big chair. And I remember Rose and I sleep. We had a big double bed, and the guy put on plastic on the mattress.
Did we ever tell the story about you about the Friendly Giant and that the lady comes up?
Oh, yeah.
That's a funny story.
But people don't know. There's a generation that doesn't know who the Friendly Giant.
He's dead now, eh?
Yeah.
I think he passed, but it was
Bob Horner, I think his name was.
I forget his name, but it was really a popular kid show.
Oh, that was really.
I mean, and
Bill
Dusty.
and then Bill and Ben was the one, and the Flower Pot Man.
Right. So you're in an airport, and remember, and someone comes up to you with their older mother, and asks you.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I forget. And she come up, and I don't know. You tell a story.
Well, so Dad's in the airport, and he's at his peak of Coach's Corner and the whole deal. And this older man, but he has his mother come up, his obviously older mother, and he goes, "Ma, you remember who this guy is?" And she's looking and figuring it out. He goes, "You've watched him on TV all the time." And Dad's getting all ready to take a picture and sign the lady's autograph and all this. And she goes, "Yeah, you're the Friendly Giant." And you know what, Dad? You do look like him. You have the same haircut.
Yeah. I had a lot of hair back in those days.
You did. So getting back to Dave's question,
it
was about you played with Al Arbour, and did you
call him Radar?
Radar. Oh, right. That's Radar, right?
Yeah.
Did you think he was going to be a good coach, and did he really wear glasses all the time?
He wore glasses all the time. And they used to call him Radar because that's the only way he could play. He didn't know what was going on. I remember one time, Daryl Sly and I were always on defense together, and he was with Larry Hillman. Larry Hillman was a great defenseman too. He went up to National Hockey League to Toronto the next year and played in the first line of the defense. I never could figure that out. Anyway,
so everyone was going to the NHL, and you were staying in Rochester.
I just stayed. And I remember one time I played with Hillman, and we were on for 4 straight goals, and it was all his fault. Sorry, Larry, but they were his fault.
Yes.
And I got benched. And I went to Crozier, and I said, wait a minute. I get benched, and I said, Larry Hillman, it was all his fault. He says, yeah, I know there was fault. And I said, well, how come I get benched? He said, he might play better with somebody else. And I got benched. Anyhow, I remember Daryl coming over I remember I went off first.
So you guys were changing.
We're changing. And Al started to clean his glasses. And Daryl, come on.
He was always wiping his glasses.
Yeah,
they were fogging up.
I remember one time he was like a dummy. He stuck out his stick, and the puck ran right up his stick and cut him right between the eyes. And he came to the bench, and his glasses were all blood. What a not, we didn't.
That must have been a sight.
Oh, that was really sick. And he was all blood. It was blood all over the place. Now, I wrote down a few things. Oh, we should tell a story about Jimmy McKinney.
Yeah. Okay. Well, most people will remember Al Arbour as winning
his coach,
4 Stanley Cups. 4 Stanley Cups.
Of course, we always have a different take on players.
Yeah.
How we remember them is always different.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wrote a few things down. Sudbury, Ontario, I come from. He coached over 600 games. He had 781 victories. He was second to Scotty Bowman. 4 Stanley Cups. He won 4 Stanley, and it really did. I played. Everybody knew them then. I played for the Windsor Spitfires. I came from Barrie, and I played junior with him in the OHL. Yeah.
Did he wear glasses then?
Yeah, he wore glasses then too.
Really, in junior?
Yeah, he always had glasses.
And remember, folks, no helmet. Just
no shield or anything.
No shield.
Just breakable glasses.
I'm sure they weren't shatterproof either.
No, I don't. I never thought of him playing with glasses. He just played glasses. And then he retired after 14 years and 600 games. He played six. He knew how to play. And he went. I think they made him coach in the expansion team, St. Louis. And then he went to New York Islanders, and that's where he really shone. I mean, the players just loved him, and he was a great coach.
So, did you know he was going to be a good coach?
It's a funny thing. When Joe Crozier, who was the coach, had to go somewhere, he'd make Al, he was like the assistant, and we go, oh no, because he'd work us harder than Crozier. I don't know why he did it, but you could tell he was going to be. But he was a great guy. Should I tell a story about the time? I'll tell you a story. I hope I can remember it perfectly. We had a tough time all the time getting babysitters. And this mother didn't want her daughter to have anything to do with hockey players because they're rough guys and everything. And Al wasn't like that at all. He very rarely had a beer. But one time, they hired him, and mother says, well, I don't know, a hockey player. So young girl, she was about 12 or 13. And correct me if I'm wrong on this. I know I told the story a long time ago. So Al come home, he had a few beers and everything. And he went, I remember he told me he went to pick up some apples or something. And he tripped and he fell and he cut himself. So the little girl, he's going to get the money. And tell me if I made a mistake in this. But the little girl came, and here's Al with all blood running down, and the little girl ran all the way home. I never forgot. She never was babysitter again. Our reputation as hockey players went down. And I remember Claire, his wife, they never had a television, and I had an old television. Imagine, I had an old television, black and white.
And you were the hero with the television.
Yeah, I had two televisions, but one of them, and I remember giving Claire, imagine, we weren't making money, and I give him an old black and white, and that's what Claire and him watched, and the kids watched this, my old black and white. And anyhow, I knew Al, and he was a great coach. I mean, he was second to Scotty, which he's got to be a good coach.
But you should tell he was kind of like he was mentoring the young guys in Rochester, and you had the wild man, Jimmy McKinney.
He wasn't wild. Well, he was wild. He was wild in junior, but he was good. He was supposed to, him and Bobby Orr come along at the same time. And he was supposed to, it was a neck and neck, who was going to be greater, him or Bobby Orr.
Jimmy McKinney or Bobby Orr, they comparing the two, coming out of junior.
Yeah. So, and Toronto really had a good club. They'd won the Stanley Cup and the whole deal. And I remember we were at the Westbury Hotel, which is right behind the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And Al was playing for Rochester, and he was laying in bed and with his hands behind his back. I'll never forget it. And Jimmy was standing up at the end, and Jimmy had a couple, and Al had a couple, and he said, "Listen, Jimmy, you listen to me, and you can make the National Hockey League." I thought that was pretty good. And he says, "You listen to what I do." And Jimmy McKinney, What am I going to do? Make the National Hockey League and roll around the ice and block shots like you? No way. Well, I went right to the floor, and Al looked at me. I think he was with a guy named Jimmy Corrigan, and Jimmy McKinney doesn't touch a drop now.
So how did he get the name? Like a lot of people know him around Toronto as Howie.
How he got the name Howie was Howie Young. Was a wild man that was his hero, was Howie Young, and anyhow that's why they call him Howie, because Jimmy McKinney was he goes around now and talks to people that take drugs and everything, and he was great on television. I remember when he first came on television, Rose and I'd be home, and we'd come on, Jimmy, you can do it.
He was on City TV, and I remember, Moses Amer hired him to do the sports, and oh boy, were we rooting for him.
Oh, and we come on, Jimmy, and you could see the sweat coming out. And at the end, he did local television.
Great. Yeah,
he was great on TV.
He was. I never missed him. Yeah.
And all, but can I tell you my memories of Al Arbour?
Oh yeah.
Well, just before you go, Sam, I've just got to mention our other sponsors, Bread.ca. So they're a First Nations owned, unlike
Okay, Tim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I want to make a bet. All right. I say I want to make a bet. Say
Right.
I got an extra $20.
Right.
And I want to make a bet.
Yeah.
How do I get on that? What
You
do
go
I
on. You go on the computer.
Computer.
Spreads.ca.
What is it?
Spreads. SPREADS.ca. Spreads.ca.
Yeah.
And then you log in.
I say I want to bet $20.
Well, you gotta like log in. You gotta put your name and your email address.
I'm pretty stupid on those
and
things.
all this. So then you put it in, and then you got to make a deposit. So
How do you make the deposit?
well, you get your credit card, or you get
They
a
all want your credit card. Yeah.
credit card or your PayPal or whatever, and then you say, I want to put $20 into my kitty, right? Basically,
What's the kitty? Like, what do you
like
mean?
a kitty, like your pot, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
money that this is, so they hold that for you, and then you can go on to the sports bet, and then you click on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so let's say, like last night I bet on the Dodgers.
Nice.
Yes, and I bet on the Dodgers.
And Tampa Bay made a comeback.
Yeah, what a game that was last night. So this is Sunday, so this was Saturday night's game. And then you bet it, and then when the game's over, you go back and you can see on your deposit like how much you have in your kitty.
I often wondered how you get on.
Yeah,
that.
so you go on. It's quite easy.
You do the betting for me.
Yeah. So I bet but I took the Dodgers last night. What a crazy game! It was unbelievable, guys.
I thought, I saw Dodgers laughing, on the bench. They were, and
They were up, and they thought they had it in the bag.
It's in the bag. Game's in the bag. And what is it? Mookie Betts. What were you saying?
Mookie Betts, who's I think the right fielder for the Dodgers, makes more money than the starting lineup for the Tampa Bay Rays.
And they're young guys, and they're hungry. And boy, and I saw Dodgers laughing. They're pretty good. And I thought, boy, I wouldn't laugh at that club because they're and who'd ever thought? I thought that they had that game wrapped up.
Yeah, and you just get a broken bat single. Guy gets on and walk. Then the guy hits an error, and the guys are kicking the ball all around.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you sign up, and then
now we know how to do it.
Right. So if you go in and sign and use the Grapes promo, they'll match your deposit up to $100 or 100%. Up to $500. So if you put $50 in, they'll match it with $50. So you have $100.
That's pretty good.
Then and they also will let you. They also give you $50 for your first sports bet. So if you wanted to bet on the game on the World Series, go on there and they can give you a $50 free bet.
I don't know who to bet on. Who to win? Who's going to win that, Tim? Who do you say is going to win the World Series?
I think I'm betting now. I think Dodgers are going to win. I think Kershaw. I think Kershaw is going to come back, and they're not going to beat Kershaw.
I don't bet you they won't be laughing on the bench again.
No. So, and then you get 15 free spins and to win some big dough, and then again you get a $25 free bet on the sports bet. So,
well, we hope they do good. They're a Canadian company, and
yep, that's what that's what everybody wants to do now: support their local Canadian businesses. So, so we'll get back to Al Arbour. You have a good Al Arbour story.
Well, you have to remember when you're a kid, you always have your own version of life and everything. So I remember when the Ice Capades used to come to town, it always meant that you would go on about a 2-week road trip because they needed the ice, right? So, and it always seemed to be around Christmas time too.
well,
So
that's when they draw.
that's when they draw because the kids are out of school, and so they draw on this. So it was the last practice before you were taken off, and so all the kids, because we're out of school, all the kids of the players would go down to the rink and watch. Well, and the Ice Capades were in town, so they were watching you guys practice. Well, and they were sneering at you, hockey players and all this. So you and Al Arbour were the last on the ice, and you started to imitate figure skaters and
How do we do?
Well, you did really well because you were going around like on one leg, and Al was pulling you around and going you in circles, and then you would jump up in the air, and of course all the kids were laughing, and the Ice Capade people did not think it was funny at all.
So it's like the original Battle of the Blades.
Yes.
I never thought of that.
Once again, just like with the Battle of the Blades, they can't believe probably that you guys are as good as skaters as you
the
are.
ice was different, eh?
Yeah, that was. I remember you were saying that just before the first game of the Mississauga Ice Dogs, And before we had our first game, they had an exhibition game or an exhibition of figure skaters, and they did something to the ice that you got mad.
Well, what happens is it's soft, so they don't fall. And when
is that it?
Oh, yeah. When hockey players play, the ice is hard. When figure skaters are on the ice, it's soft. You can dig in better. And I remember and they really cut up. They really
Because those toe picks must really grind into the ice.
I can't believe the Battle of the Blades when I see some of those players. I'll tell you a story about, and then I know we're going on kind of long, but I'll tell you a story about Bobby Probert. Bobby Probert all summer practiced on figure skates because they told him he had to go on figure skates. And the only reason I tuned in was because of Ty Domi and Probert. So Probert and then Ty goes, he said, I'm not skating on these skates.
Yeah, well, because he let everyone believe he was going to play by the rules.
Yeah,
and at
Ty,
the very last time, when he was ready to film it, he threw on his hockey skates.
Yeah, he said, I'm
So he
not wearing
cheated.
those skates. And Bobby Probert had worked all summer on to get used to it. And they went out, and Bobby Probert was pretty good, and Ty was terrific. And they cut Ty Probert the first day.
For 6 months they've been promoting Probert versus Ty.
And everybody thought he was the greatest guy. I talked to the people there. I was a stupid judge, and they thought Probert was the nicest guy. You know, if you wanted tea, he'd go out and get the pizza, and they cut him and the only reason I tuned him and Ty were the guys that made that show.
Oh, they were entertaining. And people forget you were a judge on that show.
Oh, I was a stupid judge.
Yeah, but you loved everyone. You just hated to knock any player.
No, I didn't want to watch. I mean,
we just got to jump in for all the American listeners, and we have quite a few. The Battle of the Blades is, because they don't get it down there, they get retired hockey players, and I think they're current figure skaters, and they do like doubles routine, and then they vote.
And it's fantastic.
And you can't. And you know what the thing is? We went to see it live, right? Cindy, and you can't believe how fast
it's a lot faster
they
in person.
skate in person than on TV. Like in TV, it looks a little bit slower, but boy, you go down live, and
I don't care, Tim. You tell me the story. What the judge said about how
Dick Buttons,
good the hockey players were compared. This is a really good story, and it's a reality for the figure skaters out there.
Yeah, because it was the older guy that they first.
Dick Buttons.
So I remember he walked up to you, and I was there. He goes, "This is a disaster." He goes, "This is a disaster." And you look and you go, "Really? What? Well, why?" He goes, "Oh, this is a disaster." And you go, "Well, I think the players are doing really good." He goes, "Really good? They're doing too good." He goes, "We got broken down hockey players." He says, "We're making us look bad."
Yeah. So you remember Al and I?
Oh, it was just unbelievable. It was one of those childhood memories to see you and Al being figure skaters out there and how good you were, and
and two great coaches.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, that's true, right?
You know,
Defensemen.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Two great coaches. Just thought of it now. I'll tell you one last story about Al Arbour, and then we're done. And I think I did tell a story about Bobby Miller, eh?
Right.
And I'm going to hurry you through. Bobby Miller was from Billerica, Mass, and everybody was tuning in from Boston to see this guy from Mass. Boston,
first game.
Massachusetts. Yeah, first game, and it was in the island. And I saw looking at the lineup and all that. Then it was John McCauley, God love him, and I'm hurrying it through, and it was Al Arbour. It was Al Arbour who caught the mistake, and.
Yeah, Frosty Forrestal did your
Frosty
lineup.
Forrestal, and I never filled in the lineup. It was Frosty Forrestal, our assistant trainer. But the guy that caught the mistake on the lineup was Al Arbour, right?
Yeah.
So about a month later, I caught him in a mistake, and Frosty was just looking for something like Frosty Forrestal because he looked. And I said, no, don't tell me. Tell me in front of the players. And players were, they were still, and he said, "Don, I've caught the coach for New York Islanders in a mistake in the final." I said, never mind, we'll beat it without him. Tell him that. And we did. We beat them. But he was a great coach. I mean, 4 Stanley Cups, and the players loved him.